Hello everyone, welcome to the Honda Superbike Shootout of California. It's the MotoAmerica AMA FIM Superbike Championship, round 8 of 9 from Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Welcome to BN Sports Connect, KTM RC Cup race. Getting ready to go off here as our final event of the day on Friday. I'm Greg White, joining me, Jason Pridmore in the booth, who's got a couple of those AMA championships, a couple of the FIM World Endurance Championships, which makes him the expert in what's going on here. These KTM RC 390s, a 373cc fuel-injected single-cylinder motorcycle. And this is a look at the championship point standings with Brandon Posh leading the way.
Brandon leading the way over Anthony Mazziato by 15 points. Ashton Yates in third at 61 points back, with Joe Barry there in fourth. Top three guys here are going to get to go race in Assen over in at the end of the year. They'll take the top three guys for this championship as they do around the world. Anybody who's racing KTM RC Cup, top three guys are going to go to Assen to do a little shootout.
Hey folks, you ever heard the name Yates? It's a racing family. Aaron, well, his son Ashton races in the series and he is on pole, and he's with our very own Christy Lee.
Ashton, third in the championship points in this series, 2 wins under your belt this season. How are you feeling going into this race?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. I'm just planning to keep my head down and do some quick laps. Maybe I can get away from the group, but yeah, you know, after yesterday's practice session, it's became my favorite track, so it should be a good race. We'll see what happens.
Best of luck.
I love hearing that, and I'll tell you what, that kid's dad was really, really good around Laguna Seca. I saw Aaron win on bikes around here that didn't have any business winning. So when I say that, I'm talking some 600 races because he was such a big guy.
Yeah.
And he just had a knack around this place. He was very aggressive around here, and he was incredible. So the fact that his son Ashton is 0.6 ahead of
0.6 on a KTM
on these bikes,
RC Cup bike.
Incredible.
I mean, we are talking a motorcycle that basically has a couple of springs that you can change. You can add a couple bits and pieces, but they're identical motorcycles. They produce 38 horsepower. You got to climb up hills, down hills, and he is 0.6 of a second quicker than everyone else. And there's some future motorcycle road
and it's over Posh and Mazziato.
Yeah, exactly.
These kids have been winning races, as has Ashton. But it's not like he's just racing against anybody. He's racing against 2 kids that have been doing extremely well with a lot of experience. And for him to be 0.6 is really impressive.
All right, so there's a good look at the grid as Ashton Yates is on pole, Posh and Mazziato on the front row. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll hand you off to the track announcer. Stay with us. KTM Cup race coming up. Welcome back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca on a Saturday late afternoon as we get ready for the KTM RC Cup race. Round number 8, they get a single race this particular venue because we are here as support for the SBK Motool FIM World Superbike Championship, or what most of you call World Superbike. I'm Greg White, Jason Pridmore, Christy Lee joining us as well right now. But the KTM RC Cup grid is absolutely set. And now we're going to hand it over to Jonathan Green, who's going to have the race call. Jonathan, take it away.
Welcome everybody to Laguna Seca as we head now for the big race of the day for the youngsters, that is, for the KTM RC Cup. And a full grid once again. These are the youngsters. This is the future. Thank you for staying Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca to watch these youngsters, and many of you may just sit in the stands this afternoon or be blowing around in the breeze as you are up on the hills there. But let me just give you into a little bit of an instance warning here. When you look at Brandon Posh or you look at Anthony Mazziato, you're looking at the future of American racing. You might have been here when Nicky Hayden or Roger Hayden got their first ride, or Ben Bostrom, or Aaron Yates. Well, how about this? Ashton Yates taking his first pole position here today and trying to make a little bit of history. Never been to the Corkscrew or Laguna Seca before, but here he is on pole position and getting a track record in the process. The youngster, just 17 years of age, and of course, the son of Aaron Yates, who of course has had many an excursion here at Laguna Seca, including one I was watching this afternoon on YouTube in 1998, where he had a big crash down the main straight. But he's had some moments here, as have so many riders. And I asked Aaron what it is about Laguna that makes it so special, and he says it's hard. It's hard to learn. It's a technical circuit, and of course the famous corkscrew. But it's 4 sectors, 4 very hard sectors. And for these youngsters, all on identical KTM bikes, it's going to be a real challenge. Some have raced here before, including Anthony Mazziato. Many have not, including Ashton Yates and Brandon Pash. That's where the championship lies between the 3 men I've just mentioned, and they are 1, 2, 3. As we look at the grid, there you see it. Yates in pole with a 1:42.5, then Pash, Mazziato the third on the front row. Jody Barry looking for a victory here, just keeping out of the top 3 at the moment. Josh Sene, the Californian, looking for a good result. Gutierrez, Gabe Hernandez coming in this weekend in 7th position, and Benjamin Smith, one of his best qualifying so far. Likewise, Daniel Castilla, another local Southern California boy, in 9th position and looking to make amends from one slip last time out. Renzo Ferrari riding with an injury at the moment, but still up there in 10th position. Ventura, Corey Ventura. Then Gary Pham, another one of the Californians. Ruben Cesar, Ezra Bobier, still struggling a little bit in setup. Then Nolan Lampkin. Sean Anvarsky in 16th place, the man from Phoenix, Arizona. And then Drake Beecham on the number 17, also struggling with the new tires. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Brett Voorhees in 19th position, then Standish, Valentine Welsh, the only female in the pack. Cheer on if you will. John Knowles and Ian Champness, Jake Feld, Seton West, and Nicholas Svensgaard at the back. Nicholas, besides actually improving his time, is right at the back, but that's been the case for most of these youngsters this weekend because they got new tires for the first time. And I want to introduce Chris Fillmore, who's ridden this track and of course is one of the faces of KTM, the Superbike rider. But Chris, this has been a tough weekend because a lot of these guys suddenly get thrown a new tire and a new circuit, one of the toughest on the American calendar.
Yeah, that's right. So this weekend was tough for them. They're handling it really well, I think. You know, some guys haven't been to this track. A lot of times, the guys that did see it, they saw it last year, and it was just for this one-off race. Dunlop has a new compound, new carcass, so it's a little bit softer. They have to get used to it. And we've been getting a little bit of a mixed review, but overall, everybody's really happy. Overall, the grip is better than it was before. They just have to, track time is a little bit limited, so they have to do their best to try to figure out how they're going to set up the bike for the new tire, which without testing, they got some practice laps, but kind of straight into the qualifying and right into race 1 right now. So time is limited. I think we're going to find out in this race 1 who did the best job with the setup.
It definitely threw a bit of a spanner in the works early on in the weekend because obviously getting used to a new tire, it's a softer construction. I talked to Tony Romo of Dunlop about it, and slightly softer construction and a softer tire in itself. But that was because the remit when they started KTM was to have a medium to hard tire that would actually go at all the good circuits and be usable and user-friendly at all the circuits. But the riders were asking for something a little softer, and now they've got it. But of course that takes time to dial in and get used to it as they head up through this Laguna Seca circuit. And your thoughts in terms of the championship, because it's so nicely balanced right now between the 2 kids from New Jersey and of course Ashton Yates, who's on pole position and is brimming with confidence at the moment.
Yeah, right now it looks like that battle for the championship is between 2 guys. Brandon Pash sitting in the lead and Anthony Mazziato sitting in second. Been going at it all year long, and Ashton Yates, he's sitting in third. He's a couple more points back. I believe he's 30.5 points down on second. But he's gaining momentum, with a pole position this weekend, and it's not just, he didn't just take it by a couple tenths, he took it by half a second. So he's trying to make his mark. At 17 years old, he's really growing into his own. He's making some great progress this year, and throughout last year he was happy to be in the top 10, and now he wants to be winning, and it shows with his pole position this weekend.
In terms of the championship, Brandon Pash leads by just 6 points going into this race, his first outing at Laguna Seca. Anthony Mazziato, the third, good friend but big rival from New Jersey, is in second place, and according to Mazziato, with those couple of fourths and 3 fourth places, he has to keep winning. That's the plan for him because Pash has more podiums. So from Mazziato's point of view,
Yeah, he's got some hand signals now. We're not really sure what's happening down on the grid, but people waving their hands. I'm not too good at the sign language. You got anything for us there, Jonathan?
They're a little bit concerned about the starting procedure here for a moment. The red flag is still there. It waves at the back, so we are about to go racing here. A very, very important race for the 2016 KTM RC Cup. Revs go up. Out go the lights, and away we go. Great start from the poleman. Yates flies off and over the hill here at Laguna Seca. Brilliant start.
Yeah, and Josh Cernak right behind him. Great start from the third row.
Into the first corner, a crucial corner this, because the tires aren't up to temperature and you're so desperate for position. And then the tight infield section. The long high run through turn 1 then here at Laguna. Oh, big off, several riders off. Skittles at 2.
Let's hope everybody's okay right now. There's a big
7 riders.
It was a high side, and some other guys got collected off in the gravel. We'll hope they're okay.
Let's hope they're all okay, but that could mean that we do get a red flag because so many riders down. But if they're all up and they're okay, we'll be racing and we'll continue racing. But meanwhile, Masiato's in the throes of it. Ashton Yates got away well. And Josh Cernak in second place. Oh, Masiato almost changed his whole year in a moment in the dust of California, but he grabbed it all together. Jody Barry's got away well. He's in 4th place at the moment. Patch is 5th, but look at this. Skittles, as I say, just on the exit of 1, and it is a red flag. So, everything that Ashton has done early on in that race has all come to naught. Likewise, Josh Cernak, the Californian, getting a good start. Anthony Masiato 3rd, Jody Barry in 4th position, and Brandon Pash. But as you can imagine, a red flag, and Chris.
You know, these guys, they had qualifying today at 8 a.m. and they've been sitting around for a lot of hours waiting for this race, so it's easy for these guys to get excited. You know, no real warm-up since this morning. I think it could be a case of that. You know, these tires, they haven't really gone from a cold start onto the track. Maybe they put new ones on. Again, you know, we got to figure out how these things are going to work. And these guys are fresh to them. So, and let's see who that is down. That looks like Jody Barry, possibly.
I think that is the big figure of Jody Barry in the all black leathers. And we'll soon find out who is and who isn't in. But as they come in and file in, big incident here in what is a very important, just 1 race, remember, here for the KTM Cup this weekend, and then 2 more at New Jersey in September. So a long wait, literally a summer break before we go to the final race. So the red flag out here at Mazda Raceway. Here's what happened. And as you can see, watch mid-pack now, and yeah, big time. Barry gets it completely wrong, very fast out of there, completely threw him over the handlebars, and that took out several riders with him. And that's rare for Jody, very rare for Jody.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a bad high side coming out of there. It looks like the rear just stepped out, and he's still sitting there. He's up, and he looks like he's going to be okay. Jody's a tough guy, so he'll be able to handle it, but let's just hope nothing's broken.
So as you can see, they are heading out to the exit of pit lane, and we will get started very soon indeed. Leading them out is the number 158. That, of course, Nicholas Svensgaard, who's really had a bit of a crisis over the last few races, but I spoke to him last night. We were leaving the circuit at the same time, and he's getting his head around it. And he said to me, he goes, "It's just me. I gotta deal with it. I gotta go faster. I know I can be faster." And again, on second qualifying, he was quicker, but unfortunately, so was everybody else. So Nicholas struggling a little bit at the moment, but he's on top of it, and that's racing. That's the way it goes. It's never easy, especially as competitive as these guys are. And just so you know, these are all identical 390 machines, all got the same tires, exactly the same bike. So really, this is about the rider, which is why I say if you are sitting out in the stands here at Mazda Raceway and looking at who these names are for the first time, then you really should take note, because the guy who comes out on top of this at this very, very ferocious circuit, you can count your bottom dollar that they're going to be in your peripheral when it comes to either super stock, super sport, or superbike racing in the near future. A lot of them have got their eye on becoming the next Cameron Beaubier, the next Nicky Hayden, the next Roger Hayden. In fact, I want to shout out to Roger here, because Roger spoke to these youngsters this morning about just, you know, health and how to go about being a professional and how to treat your team and how to treat the world, as it were, on the way up. And I was so impressed with Roger because he's a busy man himself and he's trying to win a championship. He's got enough on his plate, but he's spent at least half an hour, if not more, chatting and talking with these guys with some really, really interesting and insightful comments. They sat there glued to his every word, and why not? But hats off to Roger Hayden, you know, giving back as he always likes to do, as Nicky has always done. And, you know, it's great to have the Haydens here, royalty no less, here at Laguna.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Roger did a really good job, and it was nice of him to come over and talk to the guys. I think it really struck a string with them. You know, he mostly talked about respect and where these guys are at, and this is a professional atmosphere, and you know the things you need to do to make the next step. And he did it out of the reason that he wanted to see these guys succeed. You know, that's the same thing that I'm doing up here right now, and when I work with these kids during the week and on the weekend is we all want to see them have the opportunities that we did. You know, I was fortunate enough to ride for KTM for 5 years. And I had a really great career with them, and you know they've moved me on to other things. But we had some awesome experiences, and we're just making sure that these guys are doing the same thing and getting the opportunity to. And that's I think what Raj wanted to come over and make sure that you know he can do all that he could. So we definitely thank him for that.
So the grid forms up. There is Ashton Yates. 3 empty spots I can see, maybe 4 actually at the moment. Benjamin Smith is one of them. He's in the pit lane still, and obviously some not making it back to the grid. So we have got a few empty spaces on that front row, but it's Ashton Yates, Brandon Pash, and Anthony Mazziato, your front row starters. So normal service effectively has been resumed here. There's the 969. Brandon Pash obviously getting it all together. A little bit ruffled.
Yeah, that's Daniel Castillo in 9th. He's missing as well. Right next to him would be Benjamin Smith, and then in the 4th place position would be Jody Berry, and those guys are both out. So, you know, it looks like Benjamin's okay. He's in the hot pit right now. They're trying to work on his bike, so he looks to be okay, but they're wrenching quick.
So we head out then on the warm-up lap. 4 spaces not taking part. I'm looking at Smith. He's still off the bike, helmet not on, and what a shame. Benjamin Smith had such a good weekend, really improved his times, but it doesn't look as though he's going to get... I can see him grabbing for his helmet and his gloves right now, so we may see him in action. He may try to get back into this race. You never know, do you? And that's another thing that you talk about learning, the Roger's teaching them about what racing's all about. And one of the things that I've watched, the good guys anyway, on the way up, is the ones that don't give up. That's one thing, but also are smart enough to realize that the race is never actually over until it's over, but it isn't even started before we've had our first crash, and that looks like Trevor Standish sitting down.
Yeah, it's not good out there. I don't know if it's the track or what right now, but these guys are they're hitting the ground left and right, unfortunately. Let's hope Trevor's okay. I saw him grab his hip, but he did look like he stood up and then grabbed it, so I think he's okay. I'm curious to see what happened, though.
Yeah, strange incident, and he's up and up. It is
he
Trevor
looks okay
on the 160, but it doesn't look as though he's going to take part, sadly.
Yeah, he's upset there. Not happy with himself for sure.
Well, I think maybe it's slightly cooler than it's been before, and maybe that's caught him out on that warm-up lap. In terms of the championship, it's 6 points between Pash and Mazziato at the moment, and that, in fact, is not 100% correct. I think it's just 6 points between them. And Yates still third.
Yeah, we'll see. Benjamin Smith's still in the pits right now. We'll see if those guys can hustle. He's not going to be able to start with the grid, but he might be able to start from the pit row, so we'll see what happens.
On the warm-up lap then, the championship very much still hanging in the balance. Brandon Pash, Anthony Mazziato, both from New Jersey, and Ashton Yates, of course, the son of Aaron Yates, who's here on the pit wall watching his son, and this couldn't be a prouder moment for him. To take the pole on a track he's never seen. And I said, what's the advice you give him about learning a new track? He said, just ride. And it's great advice, to be honest, because when you get lots of information, too much information, sometimes it doesn't help. And I think the Yates combination, they've seen it all before, and they've certainly got themselves dialed in. It's a great relationship between them. So then, can we get back to the concentration and the battle at the front? The top 6 in the championship line up in the top 6 places. Brandon Pash, Anthony Mazziato, and Ashton Yates. Yates on the left-hand side, on the number 120, pole position. Out go the lights and away we go again, and Yates gets a start. He looks behind him. He didn't get as good a start this time. He goes to the inside, tries to stay out of trouble. Coming round the outside now. Brandon Pash looking for a way past. Yates got a good inside line, but he may not hold that line. Can he take the whole shot? He just about breaks as late as he possibly can and does go into the lead, into the first corner here at Mazda Raceway. Sene up to third place by the look of things. Oh, another rider down. I think that's Valentine Welsh. The only female in the pack, but she's grabbing the bike immediately. Good work. Renzo Ferreira has got the restart. He's in 7th position, but it's Yates that leads this race. Looks as though Welsh is going to give this one a miss, because that accident has proved that she can't get the bike going again, sadly. And she is out of this race. A real shame. There she is.
Oh, that's Sean
Nagowski as well, in a similar helmet. And Varsky.
Well, they both have long hair, too, so it's a little bit easy
from Phoenix,
to confuse.
Arizona, was so excited about racing here, and his sponsors here. And shame for Sean. He's worked so hard on that bike, and they were really, really pumped up for this race. And he's going to be bitterly disappointed, the young man from Phoenix, Arizona, who doesn't look as though he's going to finish this race, and he wanders into the distance. Down the Corkscrew for the first time, an 8-lap sprint down to Rainy Curve. And how special would it be for a young man of just 15, 16 years of age to race on a circuit named after the man they work for effectively, or in the championship run by Wayne Rainey, of course. Down to the last turn, the famous turn 11 that's caught so many a great rider out in the past. Can these youngsters navigate it as they do? And it's Ashton Yates who leads the way.
Yeah,
they cross the line.
They cross the line. They're going to shift to 6th gear, tuck in, go over the rise into 1, and now on their way to 2. And they're going to grab 2 downshifts, 3 downshifts into 3rd gear as they go into turn 2. Coming out, going to grab 4th.
Good shot, good start by Alejandro Gutierrez in 4th position. Gabe Hernandez coming into the championship. He's in 5th. Josh Sene, the Californian, in 6th. Renzo Ferreira in 7th, the Brazilian. And Ashton Yates leading the way at the moment and trying to extend that lead early on in this. Good start by that man, the number 63, the man you're watching there as he goes very wide, just as I give him the commentator's blight, but onto the dirt he goes. Oh,
these guys
they're
keeping excited today, that's for sure.
Wow. I've seen some comebacks. That was a good one.
Yeah, I've been cringing in my seat almost since the start of this race.
Shouldn't have mentioned his name. Alejandro Gutierrez, you remember it now. And he goes through and holds his position. Lost a couple of places, but as they go back up the hill, he's back in control, but probably a little bit winded and out of breath on that one, gathering himself together.
Absolutely, and as I go into the Corkscrew, you can just see it was just enough. That one little mistake was enough to split the group, and it looks like the top 3 are going to pull away.
Great composure to recover from that as he heads down the Corkscrew. Here's what happened. Yeah. And what do you do in that situation, Chris?
I think he did it perfect. You know, he stayed on 2 wheels. That's about all you can do.
That's all you can do. But do you stay on the gas or just keep gassing it?
You stay on the gas in that situation. You know, I was always kind of told in any position where you chop the throttle and then it upsets the bike. So if you can stay on it, he did perfect. He kind of dirt tracked it out of there, slid around, hopped the curb, and he's back in the race.
Anthony Mazziato moves up to 2nd place. Yates still leads, Pash still 3rd. These are the 3 that have battled all the way, and they're side by side.
Oh, yeah.
This is KTM at its best. They all go wide here at turn 1, and through goes Anthony Mazziato, but has he gone too wide at 1? No, brilliantly tucked in. Nicely done by the man from New Jersey to take the lead ahead of Yates. There's a long way to go yet. It may be only 6 laps, but great start. But these 3 know each other's game all too well. And there's no question that we knew that Pash and Mazziato would be a factor, but Yates has come of age this season without a doubt. He was right up there at Utah, got a front row pole position there, and now pole position here at his first time out here, and he will not be denied, this 17-year-old. He's a quiet, shy young man, but I tell you what, on the track he gives it all, and he's not letting these 2 ruffians somewhat in comparison from New Jersey rough him up for sure. And he's absolutely in the mix with it.
Yeah, you could see he wanted back by immediately. He's not sitting there. He doesn't want to see what Anthony has. He wants to go to the front. He knows he qualified half a second faster than these guys. So I think in his helmet, he's thinking he wants to get in the lead and try to pull away. But, you know, like RC Cup racing, it's kind of tough. You get in the draft, and it can suck you along pretty good. So we'll see what happens here as Anthony's about to come into the last corner and lead the second lap here.
Yep, this is exactly what we hoped would be the battle at the front, because obviously these three are going all the way, and we're expecting these three to be the men that will compete at Assen, and that's going to be a really, really interesting weekend for sure. As Renzo Ferreira, it looks as though he's gone down at turn 3, and the Brazilians had a torrid time in the last few weeks, including that injury.
Oh yeah,
backing it in, Yates. Is that Aaron or Ashton? That looked like Aaron for a moment.
Well, I think you want to be Ashton right now.
Yeah,
you
do.
I've been talking to Aaron throughout the weekend, and he said just about everything Ashton's been throwing his leg over, he's been doing a little bit better than him. They got to drive some cars last week, and he said he was a little bit faster than him, and rode some mini bikes earlier in the year and said the same thing. So I think the kid's really coming into his own.
Yeah, and there is Renzo Ferreira, and he's grabbing his right leg, and also it's his left shin that is the broken one. So it's it doesn't get any tougher. Now the right leg's hurting and the left leg's hurting. So Dad's going to be called on again to look after Renzo, but he's a great character. And Ronnie Sanner and the team looking after him, I'm sure will gather him all together and put him back in some confidence for September when they head back to New Jersey for the final round. So this battle continues at the front. The top three, nothing between them at the moment as they head to the top of the famous hill and down one more time, this famous corkscrew. They don't seem to have any intimidation about it. It seems to be renowned as the most intimidating corner in the world in many ways, but these guys have just taken to it. Nobody really showing. I asked every one of them, and none of them really too worried once they got used to doing it once or twice.
No, you're right. I mean, for me, the corkscrew, you're so limited by speed there. It drops away so quick, so you can't really get on the gas and carry any more speed than anybody else. You can be just a little bit better than them, but it's not too much. It's such a drop that you're like I said, you're limited by speed. It's the next couple corners are the fun ones for me. You go into Rainy, and then you go from Rainy into turn 10, and those ones really flow, and those are the ones you can hook up for and really feel like you're a GP racer.
Really marveling at the way Ashton Yates is going about his craft here. On the straights, he tucks himself so low that his elbows go below his knees almost, because he's bigger, he's larger than the two men behind him, and he knows it. Then he comes and jinks back out and literally gets sideways into turn 1, but you have to if you want to be fast. It's so impressive to watch because he knows that in a straight line, here's another look at the start. He got away well, did Ashton. Look at him look across there to see exactly where he got. He knew he didn't have the perfect start, but he held on in there on the inside and took the whole shot well.
Yeah, that whole front row got off good, and then Josh Cerny as well. He did a great job on the start. Quick instincts there, got himself into second, third, going through turn 1.
Well, and that was Navarsky there, Sean Navarsky of Arizona going down, and sadly ending his weekend.
Yeah, that's too bad. He was telling me he was really enjoying this circuit, so I know he'll be bummed and not too happy, but you know, we'll see him back in New Jersey with 2 more races to go this year.
Valentine Welsh, who I mentioned before, she's still circulating well, so I took it wrong before. She's in 16th position and looking for her best result if she can get it. Brett Voorhees is in 14th position at the moment, and he's also coming back from an injury, but going good. Straightened out the frame on his bike, he said, and now it's just going a lot easier for him. Whoa, very wide indeed then. Mazziato using all the track and more.
Yeah, he must have just cooked it in a little bit hot. I know last year those guys were having a little bit of a hard time pushing the front, so I don't know if he pushed the front or just tried to carry the momentum to try to get a draft on Ashton going into the front straight and down into turn 2.
Well, this is sort of harping back to Utah, which is such a different track, obviously, but leading the race can not always be the best position. It turned out well for Ashton Yates there, but that's because they counted it back a lap, and it is a double-edged sword whether you want to lead with these three, or you want to be in the middle, or you want to be third. Where would you put yourself?
Right now, I'd want to be in Ashton's position. He's kind of got a demanding lead. I would want to be up front. You don't know what's going to happen in this, so here's a replay right now of Mazziato going wide. Yep, and he kind of just, you could see that Ashton kind of turned at the last second, and Anthony kind of followed his line, the momentum, and then it just pushed him out a little bit wide, but he handled it just fine.
I've seen several riders get that wrong, and that used to be AstroTurf. It's now actually concrete, and even though it's still green, and it did used to cause, and back in the day, it used to cause all sorts of problems. I remember the likes of Hodgson, who's here today. It's great, these guys racing in front of Max Biaggi, Neil Hodgson, Sam Lowes, great champions, and all here, and that's just a few of them. How about Kenny Robertson, Kenny Roberts Jr., you name it.
I want to comment on Ashton's line right through here. When he goes through Rainey, he comes out of the corkscrew and he gets hard right, and he sweeps all the way to the upside of the track, the outside there, and gets as much drive as he can. And you know, that's not a typical line for, say, a 600 or a Superbike, but you kind of hold yourself to the inside. But he's really using that whole track and the momentum to kind of take it like almost like a roller coaster and carry the momentum going downhill.
Watch him tuck through there. There's another look at Alejandro Gutierrez, who had that big moment earlier with 2 laps to go. He's still in 4th position, so he's recovered well as the 63, but and I think that would be a superb result for him if he can stay there, because if you remember, he was off track just a moment ago, a few laps ago, and he's managed to gather it all together. He won't catch this group, but as you say, Ashton Yates really putting on a display here, and I wonder now how much Brandon and Anthony will be thinking of the championship, because Ashton's the one who's got to stick it out there, because obviously the likes of Jody Barry, who had a fall this time, out.
And Brandon Posh is going to take a turn at the lead. We'll see how he goes as he goes into turn 5 up the hill on the way to 6. These guys are going from 4th gear out of 5 into 5th. They're going to hold 5th through 6th gear. They said at the beginning of the weekend it was kind of a balancing act between taking a downshift or not. Right now they ended up holding 5th and then carrying that all the way up into the hill. And they're going to go into the corkscrew, grab 2 downshifts through the corkscrew.
And here we go, a little look up the inside there. But Pash is doing what he's been doing all season long, which is showing everybody the back of his leathers, and he's got a new design, as he always does. This time it's the bear, I think, the California Republic bear on the back of those leathers. We'll find it at the end of this race, I'm sure. But now he's leading the race, and now we're starting to see the usual battle ensuing, as this time now Ashton Yates for the first time goes to 3rd, but I don't think it'll worry him. He's done in this at close quarters now for the last few races, and as we head out now with just a lap to go, it's still a 3-way battle for the top 3 men in the championship. Are these the 3 men that we will send overseas? I hope so, because they put on a great display here in the States, and they're worthy of taking on the world of KTM for sure. Into the first corner here at Mazda Raceway, nothing between them. Round the outside for a moment.
That was a good one. And Mazziato into the lead in turn 2, and a couple more riders down. Wow, that looks like it's going to be. Was that
That was the last
Gabe
turn.
Hernandez?
Yep.
That was
last
Gabe.
turn incident. Gabe Hernandez, one of them.
Ah, that's too bad. You know, it looks like they kind of maybe collected each other. I'm not really sure how to tell from here, but back to the battle for the lead. We got Anthony Mazziato. He took a demanding lead down the straightaway, got a little draft, and took that position when he saw it. We got Brandon Posh in 2nd, and Ashton Yates holding up 3rd right now.
I always feel that the key to Laguna is leading at the top of the hill, and that's exactly what hoping Mazziato is to do at the moment as they head up that way. Anthony Mazziato leads them up the hill for the last time. KTM Cup, 2 races to go in New Jersey after this. A very important weekend, and Anthony Mazziato the 3rd, trying desperately to hold off his arch nemesis at the moment, Brandon Pash, as they come through the corkscrew. Ashton Yates is still there. But Mazziato's got the better line at the moment as they head through Rainey for the last time.
I think it's going to come down to the last turn. You know, it's hard on the brakes, and we'll see what happens here.
Good drive from Pash. Excellent drive through 10. This is his chance. Brandon Pash
makes
a mistake. Big mistake by Brandon Pash, and that could have given it to Anthony Mazziato. Through goes Ashton Yates into 2nd place. What a last turn. Oh, right goes Mazziato. Yates is going to come to the line. Ashton Yates wins at Laguna from pole position. What a race, what a time to do it, and what a great way to end the day. Oh, can you believe it? Josh Sonnet crosses the line now on the number 65 in 5th position, just behind Alejandro Gutierrez. What a finish here. I bet you if you're sitting in the stands, you're glad you stayed to watch that one. Ashton Yates wins the race ahead of Brandon Pash. Mazziato had it all and then had nothing. He's now in 3rd position, not what he needed. but it was a podium altogether anyway. But Ashton Yates has just put another marker down for why he wants to take this all the way for the Jersey Boys finale.
You know, launching that last corner, I don't think anybody would have been able to call it. It was crazy coming down. I didn't think Ashton had it. He was too far back, but, you know, those guys, Brandon made a mistake coming out of the second to last corner, and Mazziato ran wide in the last corner, and he just he played it cool and capitalized on it, and that's what you got to do to win races. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, I just wonder if he thought exactly that these two guys are going to take strips off each other on the last few corners, and I'm going to pick up the pieces, because that's exactly what he did.
Oh, and here's a replay. That was awesome.
Well, they might have changed the green bit to concrete, but they didn't change all of it. Sorry, Anthony. Yeah, he just went. It was a mistake he'd made earlier, if you remember. He took a couple of lines that were a little bit wider than the others. That time, though, just a little too much. Yates looks over and says, "Thank you very much." Oh, Pash almost thought, "I'll get a slingshot and see if I can get through." And then into second place he goes. But what a finish. What a great day for these young men. What a display. And that's the future, everyone, of American racing right there. I think we got something here. Really, really impressive. But, well, what a moment. What a fantastic moment for the Yates family. What a history they have here at Laguna Seca. Aaron Yates, for so many years, a hero to so many here, and put on great racing, was wild card, was also, of course, racing in the World Superbikes up until a couple of years ago. But there he is, the Corkscrew. That is a very special moment for this 17-year-old who has absolutely rewritten the history books now. Aaron's name is in there many, many times, but for the first time in the history of Laguna Seca since 1957, in goes Ashton Yates. What a great day for him. And mate, get on the pegs and enjoy it, because I'd do an extra lap. Why not? Because you deserve it, and he's kept his head, and he really has put on a fantastic performance under the toughest of circumstances. A restart, having to get it all together again, getting the pole, then taking the whole shot, then doing it again for the second time. That's a hard day at the office.
Yeah, you know, like it shows right here, you never give up, and he did a really good job at that, because coming into the last lap, he had that there was a little bit of a gap to second and third, and he just stuck with it. He actually did the fastest segment of the day in segment 4 on the last lap. So he kept his head together, and it paid off big time with a win today. So congratulations to him on the win. Congratulations to Brandon Posh for second, Anthony Mazziato in third, and all the rest of the guys of the RC Cup here at Laguna Seca.
Well, if you've enjoyed the action on Be In Sport, get your diaries, look into September, and join us, because the KTM Cup will come to its conclusion in September at the final round of MotoAmerica. But congratulations to Ashton Yates. I'm going to throw back to Greg White and Jason Pridmore.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. Wow, congratulations to Ashton Yates, Brandon Posh, and Anthony Mazziato. I'm going to tell you something, Jason. Mazziato, he just kept going wider and wider and wider in turn 11, and I'm going to start calling him Santa Claus, because he gave Brandon Posh and Ashton Yates a gift on that one. But good thing the 516 Mazziato kept it on 2 wheels. The damage, though, 4 points he loses to Brandon Posh.
Yeah.
All right,
he needed that. He needed to try to beat him there for sure.
He did. Well, we're going to take a break here from Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, but don't go anywhere. We'll have more after the break. Welcome back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, where the KTM RC Cup race is finished. And what a finish it was. Let's go down to Christy with our race winner.
Ashton, what an outstanding race. It came down to the wire there. Tell us about that last lap.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy lap for sure. I didn't really want to be third coming into the second to last turn, but you know, just worked out my way, I guess. But I was looking for a second at least. But you know, I'm happy with the first. I've been working hard all weekend and putting in the lap times and qualifying and everything. And this is my new favorite track for sure now. So yeah, it went awesome.
Ashton, congrats on the win.
All right, so good job by Ashton Yates. Jason, last lap, last sector, Ashton Yates set the fastest sector time of the race. Just a good slow-mo shot.
Did a great job. You see Ashton leading the way here earlier in the race. And of course, you know, those 2 guys in front of him got into a little bit of a battle, and it was too bad to see Anthony make a little bit of an error there on the last lap. He wasn't really to know that Brandon made a little mistake coming out of turn 10 there, so he probably ran it off into 11 as hard as he could, realize, hey, I kept him behind him, but then the bike ran a little bit wide. And we saw him running wide over the AstroTurf, which isn't such a big deal, but you can see here he's just got it in there too fast. And he'd been on that AstroTurf for a lot of the race, but he just got in there just a little bit too much, let those guys go through.
And a smart move for him not to throw it down the road, because he could have just tried to keep turning that motorcycle, and he knows the championship is at stake. And so after that off-track excursion and a run back onto the track, Anthony Mazziato, the 516, settles for third.
It just goes to show you how much momentum you can lose on these little bikes, but those are lessons that he's going to learn. These are lessons that all these kids are going to learn, and they're going to take it with them to the 600 classes and further forward. So,
and then the burn, the big burn.
Got to do the burnout, and we were laughing up here in the booth at that, because on these little bikes, as little horsepower as they make, he picked the steepest part on the track to try to get that bike nose down and do a burnout. So.
All right, let's take a look at the entire field. Race results right now as Ashton Yates led the way, and that massive margin of victory, .046 over Brandon Posh, Anthony Mazziato, and then Gutierrez, after a big save early in that race, the 63, able to hold on for fourth.
Yep, Josh Cernay, Corey Ventura, Ruben Cesares, all the way back down to Drake Beauchamp, finishing in the top 9 there. Big disparity between the first and 9th, only because we lost, what, 7 people or 6 people in that accident at the beginning, and it was nice to see most of them all get up and walk away. Happy to report that nobody's really seriously injured. We see Ezra Bovier there, John Knowles, Brett Voorhees, Jake Fell, Ian Champness, and Valentine Welch scores our last point, barely, over Seton West.
Yeah,
they were fighting
close
there for that last point. Nicholas Swensgaard back there, and you can see a lot of attrition in this race.
About 1/3 of the entire field ended up out of this one, and that's what happens at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, especially when you're racing in front of a world crowd. Things can get totally crazy.
How cool must it be for these kids to get to race in front of a big crowd like this and in front of the World Superbike paddock? And, you know, it's definitely not going to hurt Ashton's resume to say that he won at Laguna Seca, and now he loves the track. And we'll have a look here at the points. Now we've pretty much got our 3 guys set up as far as the ones that we know are going to be going over to Aston to represent us here from the United States. Brandon Posh, Anthony Mazziato, Ashton Yates. A little bit of a bummer for Anthony there, but we're going to be going to Jersey, kind of a home track for, obviously a home track for him, but also a home track for Brandon. So we're going to be seeing those 2 guys fight it all the way to the end.
We sure will. So that points championship right now extending slightly. So that was it for Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca with the KTM RC Cup. Only this one race for them. So only 50 points available up for grabs in the next 2 rounds, 2 races, final round in New Jersey. So these are all riders that have been in and out of this championship during the course of the season. 8 rounds in the books for MotoAmerica's 2016 championship. And we hope to see the KTM RC Cup race for a long time. Good look at your Dunlop podium as Ashton Yates, son of Aaron Yates, stands on top of the box once again this season. In second place, Brandon Posh, expertly scoring points. I'm sure that Brandon Posh was smiling when he saw Mazziato just keep running wide. And I get Mazziato's line, because you could see Mazziato was actually carrying good corner speed and getting down that straightaway.
Brandon was on the ground at the beginning of that race.
True.
So big break for him.
Absolutely huge effort for Brandon Posh. Could have all gone disastrous, but able to get that motorcycle back up and running and scoring 20 championship points.